What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the debut album from the band Chthe'ilist, entitled Dernier Crépuscule. This is released on Profound Lore Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Longueuil, Quebec, Canada, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very dark, atmospheric, fantasy-driven style of death metal. Yeah. I have been hyped up and geeked out for this band for many, many years now. And the hype and anticipation started when I first heard this band's 2012 demo. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the demo, but you get where I'm going from here. This was originally released as a digital download by the band, and later on it would go on to be pressed into a very limited tape version, which is probably one of my most prized possessions, is the tape version of this demo. And listening to the music, the vocals, the presentation, the concepts, the ideas, you could tell that something very incredible and special was happening for a band like this. I mean, this is a band that takes a lot of influences from many different metal styles, but most notably, I pick up a heavy influence of Finnish death metal. Not just a band like Demolic, which is a band that often gets tagged to a band like Chthe'ilist, but also some of the more heavier hitters within the style. Bands like Demigod, Convulse, Old Amorphous, Ripikoulu, Idromelek, to even bands like Nocturnus or Time Ghoul. Those bands play a very major role in the influence and style and presentation of Chthe'ilist. Musically, visually, lyrically, just a very incredible sort of band. And ever since this release, the principal members of this project had also dove into more unique metal projects, most notably, to name a few, First Fragment, Sirax, Decombre, Beyond Creation, just a wide multitude of talent being represented by these principal individuals. And ever since then, this band pretty much morphed from a duo to a trio, and then from a trio to pretty much a full-length four-piece band, I think, when it comes to them playing the live material. But once the word got out that this band was putting out a proper full-length album, I was extremely excited. Because I had been, I don't know, something about this band just brings out a lot of excitement and promise when you listen to them. And it made me wonder how they were going to translate everything they brought from their first demo into this full-length album. And now here we are with Le Dernier Crépuscule from... to my understanding, I think it loosely translates to The Last Dusk. It's 7 tracks, and it clocks in at around 52 minutes in length, so this album is very much worth not skipping over. This isn't an album that you want to just skip and fast forward through tracks. You want to give it your full attention, you want to listen to it all the way through, and fully get a grasp of what's going on here. And I would be lying if I said I didn't have any high expectations for this album, because I most certainly did. My expectations for this album were very, very high. And after giving this album many repeated listens, I can safely say that this album not only met my expectations, but it exceeded them, and I honestly have a very high first contender for 2016 Album of the Year for me. Very much early on in the year, I really don't think anything could possibly top it. Something could, but until then, this Chthe'ilist record is cream of the crop. Like pretty much the demo, this album starts with a very good build-up. It starts with a good build-up, and then for the next 6 tracks throughout, you're going to be taken on a wild and crazy journey. And the music, the production, the overall structure of things makes it all worth your while. Musically, this is an absolute tour de force. The guitar playing on here is incredibly sound. I love the way these riffs are. There is a lot of passion, a lot of heart, and a lot of detail being brought forth with these guitar riffs. You hear it on songs like Into the Vaults of Ingurgitating Obscurity and The Voices from Beneath the Well. I really think there's some sensational guitar playing to be done here, not just within the riffs, but within the solos. The solos that are being done on here are done in a very triumphant and tasteful sort of manner. It doesn't feel like technical wankery for the sake of technical wankery. This really does sound like solos that are being done to hype up the song, add more tension, have that phone booth sort of quality being represented for the way these guitar riffs sound. And I think every single riff that you hear throughout this entire record just captivates you. It makes you want to know more about what the song is about and how things are laid out. It's really incredible, and I love the passion and the detail being done here with the guitar. The bass work on here, oh my. This bass guitar work is incredibly hard working. I love the fact that it has just as much of a dominant factor as the guitar playing being done on here. It's very crystal clear, it's very loud, it's very audible. You can hear every bass string being slapped. I can almost sense a bit of a Les Claypool kind of vibe going on with the bass guitar, and I say that in a very complimentary sort of way. I really get those kind of slap bass sort of moments being represented on here. Going back to The Voices from Beneath the Well, you hear that bass guitar being utilized and properly done here. I mean, there's a certain crispness and technicality that is being brought forward with this bass guitar, and for every single song that's on here, it, like the guitar throughout this entire album, it also adds some sort of depth and amazement to be beholded here. It's probably not even a real word, but I'm going to use it anyway. Drumming, sensational drumming all the way throughout. A majority of these songs are very, very lengthy, and the drummer here really showcases his strength, his will, his attention to detail. Very elaborate, very, very smart. I love the way this drumming is being handled here. Lots of traditional death metal valor being done here with this drum work. The patterns, the ideas, the overall layouts and presentations really bring forth an incredible drum performance and really make you want to appreciate how and why this band is a top draw for death metal in its future. And I like the subtle elements of atmosphere when it comes to the usage of the keyboards. I believe it sounds like there's keyboards being used on here, and they are done very tastefully. They are brought in when they need to be brought in, and they add once again that level of anticipation and excitement to the overall song presentations, and just the way everything sounds. It just feels right. It feels proper, and it feels wonderful. And now we get to probably one of my favorite parts of this entire album for me, and that's what I loved about the demo, and that's what I love here, and I'm talking about the vocals. The vocals are incredibly wide-ranged, but the one part of the vocal style that just really gets to me is the low, booming, guttural vocals, just almost indecipherable, low, inhuman-sounding vocals that are really human. But the way they sound on here, it just feels right. It feels intimidating. It feels scary. I love the way these guttural vocals sound. But when it comes to the more diverse elements of the vocal styles, you get some really good mid-range growls, some great screams, some really awesome sung vocals. Going to songs like, going back to Into the Vaults of Ingurgitating Obscurity and the closing track, Tales of the Majora Mythos Part 1. The longest song on here at about 13.5 minutes. You get some really awesome sung vocals going on here, and I love the vocal diversity that's being represented on here. And one thing to really point out that's the most interesting thing of all about this band is not the fact that there's some really great vocals, but the lyrical content really speaks for itself. You would think by the name of the band and the overall imagery that you would think they get a lot of H.P. Lovecraft sort of worship, which is fine and dandy and all. But in all reality, this is a band that worships The Legend of Zelda. If you are into old Nintendo stuff, you probably know what The Legend of Zelda is. And they get a lot of that influence from the late 90s, early 2000s sort of Nintendo 64 games, a la Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. A lot of the lyrical content and songwriting and ideas are very much represented by those sort of games. Once again, going to Tales of the Majora Mythos Part 1. That is very much obvious reference to Legend of Zelda. And throughout the entirety of this record, you'll get those certain elements and instances of Legend of Zelda in the lyrical content. It's fascinating, and it really does make you want to know more about it, want to know how they get this sort of concept going. And I think this concept is insane. It'll make someone want to geek out, pretty much. This is one of those kind of metal records that you want to fall in love with and go geek out over and over again, regardless of how you listen to it and go about it. And that really is what makes a record like Le Dernier Crépuscule so special. And I'm pretty sure I might have said that wrong too, so I apologize for that. I know, we're all human here. We can't pronounce everything the way we want to, but we try. That's how we do things. But enough about pronunciation. Overall, album of the year for 2016 for me for right now. This album exceeded everything that I expected. It matched and it exceeded everything for me. The technicality, the beauty in the musicianship, the concepts, the style, the attitude, the grace. This is how death metal should be done, and this is a band that will most likely be carrying the flag for not just Canadian death metal, but for death metal in general. Chthe'ilist have arrived, and they are going to continue to make bigger impacts in the years and years to come. But yeah, check out songs like Into the Vaults of Ingurgitating Obscurity, Void Spawn, and the Voices from Beneath the Well. Just some incredible songs on this release. The whole damn thing is a damn masterpiece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a link in the description box to Noisey.com, where you can currently stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. I will also link you to the Profound Lore Records web store's Bandcamp, where you can currently pre-order that digitally through there, and you can also buy physical copies. Profound Lore is putting out the CD version, Dark Descent Records is putting out the vinyl version, which is what I ordered, and Graceless Recordings should be putting out the tape version of this album, just like they did for their 2012 demo. And I will be acquiring all three formats of this album because it is worth listening to on every single format, regardless if it's physical or not. So again, the album is Le Dernier Crépuscule by Chthe'ilist. This is released on Profound Lore Records, mandatory purchasing, and for a score, I'm going to give this the highest score I can possibly give, and that is a perfect 10 out of 10. This is a modern death metal masterpiece, and the best is still to come. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to be doing two different splits with Blood Incantation and Spectral Voice. I'm very excited to hear what the prospects of those releases are going to be, and there's going to be a lot more great things to come from this band. So if you happen to have heard this album, let me know what you think of it and how you think it's going to stack up for the calendar year of 2016. So support Chthe'ilist. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until the next time, Armijo out.